I'm Adam Green with No More News. Hello, YouTube. July 18th, 2018. I'm back again today with a very special guest. His name is Matthew North, and he is on YouTube. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. He's got a great channel. He is I consider him a prodigy, a truth prodigy, because he is a young guy and he is covering issues that I didn't learn until just recently. And we cover a lot of the same stuff, like exposing Alex Jones, the stuff we're going to get into today, the prophecy stuff, Chabad, all types of interesting things. Trump, all the Trump Zionist connections. How I originally found him was this documentary he made right here 9 months ago. It's called The Kalergi Plan, full documentary. This was the first introduction for me to Kalergi. I know it's embarrassing. I just learned about it recently, but I'm having an awakening process like everybody, just trying to figure out the truth. And this was a great documentary. I subbed right away when I saw this, and you notice a lot of his videos here are censored by the ADL, B'nai B'rith, who's in charge of all social media. Many of them, all the ones here you see. So we're going to get into all this stuff. Go to him now. Thank you so much, Matthew North, for coming on the show. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's definitely an honor to be on No More News. So yeah, just great to be here.
Awesome. Just wanted to check in the chat real quick, make sure everybody hears us. Doing good. Looks like the chat's live, the stream's green. 42 watching. So, what's been going on your mind lately? What kind of videos you've been working on?
Well, actually, I've been haven't been working on videos, but I've been doing quite a bit of research, and hopefully I can come back on with some of that research. I'm not really ready to talk about a lot of that stuff yet, but hopefully I'll get into some of it tonight because it ties in with Jones and really the whole counterculture. I'm really interested in this modern counterculture that I see unfolding before us, and luckily I made some connections, and I think I'm going down the right path with it, and want to share it with everybody. Like I said to you before, I'm doing this to actually try to make a difference. So the spread of vital information and hopefully inspiring other people to get out there and do this, because this isn't easy for me. But each time you do it, it gets a little easier. So yeah.
Yeah. You really got courage. You're putting yourself out there, putting your neck on the line. How old are you?
21.
21. And how long have you been awake for? Awake.
Well, a couple, 2014, 15 or so is when I really started diving into like real research. But pretty much my whole life I was skeptical about things. I knew about 9/11. I would watch Alex Jones every now and again, but he actually kind of threw me off early on before I dove into real research, because of his antics. He made it seem ridiculous, but since about 2015, I've been really diving into actual research and trying to do something here.
Was 9/11 the event that woke you up?
Absolutely. And actually, as a kid, even my dad would say things like, buildings don't fall like that. Like that doesn't normally happen. And I think that early on, and I remember like early on, people would get pissed if you question things. Remember, people would want to fight you if you question 9/11. Those are our troops that died. So it was like a taboo subject, but that always kind of stuck with me.
So your dad's a conspiracy theorist too? A conspiracy theorist?
I think I get it from him where he just sees through bullshit. Like, and actually since then I've showed him some documentaries and stuff on it, like Loose Change and stuff like that, which is kosher. But, it's a good start.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that you're just doing a lot of research because, I was thinking recently that, I make a lot of videos and I do a lot of talks with people recently, but if people only knew the amount of research that goes on behind the scenes to be able to you just have the confidence to come out here and like debate people on these issues or discuss these issues, it's like it's been an obsession for about a decade for me. I woke up when I was in college, much older than you. You've got such a head start and you really give me a lot of optimism for that there is another generation coming up that is waking up to this kind of thing. I'm learning stuff from you, so shows the impact that you're making.
Yeah, it does consume you, but it's also at the same time it's fulfilling. It really does give you meaning. I've never been really happier in my life than now. Just knowing. I think the lack of knowing is you just feel empowered by this knowledge.
I agree. So what are some of the main themes you say that you cover here? I went over some of them, but did I miss any?
Well, let's see. You'll disagree with me on Bill Hicks. I don't want to get into that tonight, but that's something I'm really done a lot of research in. I think you'll come around to that eventually. But other than that, let's see. I think you commented on that Jew-S triggered. That was before I knew a lot of stuff. I started off my YouTube channel actually making a video about Alex Jones. Like you said on the phone, it's just that whole story behind him wanting to know. I guess I posted a Clinton video before that, but just wanting to know, like, what is the situation there? It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jones, and then some antediluvian history. I don't know if you've ever looked into pre-flood civilizations and ancient advanced technology and all that stuff. That's also something I'm very interested in.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of Graham Hancock interviews, that kind of thing with lost civilizations, and with all the lies and covered up history and stuff, I wouldn't, I don't rule stuff out. I don't cover it all the time, but I don't rule stuff out. And I wanted to mention that we're going to get to at some point in this live stream. In the title, it starts with Kushner. We're going to get into some Kushner as the Jewish Messiah Antichrist stuff. I've been saying this and predicting that they're going to say, hail him as the the Messiah, the Moshiach, in the next few years. I see lots of evidence everywhere, so I was doing even more research the other night, and I came across a bunch of videos on YouTube covering it, and the evidence is just so overwhelming in my eyes that I don't see how this is not going to come to fruition, that they're going to say it's him. And doesn't mean it's real, it just means that they all believe it and they think it's him. And so one of these documentaries had a video that you had covered, correct?
Yep, that's one of my earlier videos, yep.
So what's your take on Kushner? You
agree?
Well,
I agree to an extent. I don't know. I think that they're definitely setting him up for something. He's just not a likable person, but they can manipulate people into liking people, so I don't know. I really don't know. Anything can happen, and they're definitely setting him up for something. You remember with him and the Russia stuff, he was kind of a gopher for Trump, kind of like how Putin uses his son-in-law as a gopher. But it just kind of went away, and he's just kind of flying under the radar right now, so we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised.
I've been saying this, and some of my friends have been disagreeing and saying, yeah, Kushner, he's not likable. He's not charismatic, and they don't think it's him. But I believe the media can make a hero out of anybody with the right press, and if they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, they can make anybody, win some elections and stuff and get into power. And look at this, Kushner is already the hero. I just saw this the other day. Kushner World Cup. Look at this. How Jared Kushner helped bring the 2026 World Cup to North America. Well, look at that. Isn't he just the savior there?
So they're already setting up for it. They're already making him the hero.
And a bunch of other stuff. People should check out these documentaries. I've been saying it a while, but it's such interesting stuff. I'll go to some of the links. I mean, we should just get into it now, right? Might as well, since we're on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to start. I showed, if you guys look down at my comment here on this video, it's shocking that this video only has 1,800 views. It's been up for almost a year. And my top comment here is, at 4:58, Fox News host says the most shocking things. That's the words he says. But if you listen closely, and I heard this and picked it up so clearly, and so did my girlfriend when we were listening, he says most shocking, but he says most Shiaking. So, and it sounds like Moshiach, which is the Jewish word for Messiah. And this is something called perception without awareness. There's a documentary with a hypnotist at the mall, and he reads these announcements. And so people are hearing these neurolinguistic programming, subconscious words or sounds, and then he says a announcement, and everybody stops and puts their arm in the air, and this is the exact same thing. So I want to show you guys this. Here, let me make sure that you can hear this. Make sure we're call share system sound. You should be able to hear it. So.
That was the most shocking thing in the story. That
okay, you heard
Eric
it right
Schmidt,
there.
big backer of Hillary, and also helped them.
So he's talking about Kushner, and he says most shocking, but he says shocking. I mean, tell me if you guys hear it. Here, I'll back it up again. It's at 4:58, and this may just be a coincidence, but this perception without awareness is a real hypnotism, mind control technique. There's no doubt about that. Go ahead.
Right. That's the thing. That's the point of Psywar to a large extent. It's not about necessarily deceiving someone straightforward. It's about training their mind to think within certain patterns. So they can tell you something later down the road, and it's within your pattern of thinking, and you just go along with it. So that's what that is. That's just conditioning you for later down the road.
Yeah, my girlfriend said it gave her chills when she heard it. And the Moshiach, we all know that Kushner is Chabad Lubavitch. So I'll show the links in a second to prove it, but he's Chabad Lubavitch. It's the most respected rabbi, the most famous rabbi essentially in Judaism. And they're obsessed with the return, or not the return, but the coming of the Jewish Messiah, the Moshiach. The "We Want Moshiach Now" is the lyrics from the Modest Yahoo, the Chabad Lubavitch hip-hop artist. It's like the main objective of Judaism is rebuilding the third temple and having the Moshiach come and rule the world.
Well, and especially this sect, Go ahead, play it.
Okay, so listen up, guys.
Government have not been able to fix.
Come on. Okay.
That was the most shocking thing in the story. That Eric Schmidt, big backer of Hillary, and also helped them.
The internet is not going good, but you guys are hearing it, right? Moshiach. You don't say shocking thing. You say most shocking thing, not Moshiaching thing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment. What do you think? Honestly, your honest opinion. You think this is possible? I mean, it's not unreasonable to suggest that this kind of thing is going on.
No, especially at Fox News and mainstream media. That's what they do. That's what their job is. So it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. They're talking about Kushner. There's so much evidence that he's the Antichrist that even if he wasn't at 666 Fifth Avenue with his headquarters, I would say that, they may say he's the Jewish Messiah, which the Christian Zionists believe is the Antichrist, that once he gets into power, Jesus is going to come and destroy him and, convert a bunch of Jews and kill a bunch of Jews. So it's weird that the Jews are allowing this Christian Zionists to help them build the temple when they know that the Christians think that Jesus is going to return and, destroy their Messiah. Don't you think it's an odd, unholy alliance?
It's bizarre. It's like most of them don't even understand what the prophecy is. And it seems like the Christian Zionists are more gung-ho about, all this stuff. So, yeah, it's a bizarre relationship. But it makes sense that those two factions, those two nationalist-type factions would link up like they have.
Mm-hmm. It does. And Saudi Arabia, too. Saudi Arabia is a part of this. Okay, so I'm going to try to play it one more time, and then I got a really cool clip I want to play you from an Amazon Prime documentary that is all about rebuilding the temple, and it's made by Christian Zionists. I just want to play a couple little snippets from it. So hopefully internet works here. One more time, guys. Listen.
That was the most shocking thing in the story. That Eric Schmidt, big backer of Hillary.
Moshiach. And he's talking about how Eric Schmidt is giving Kushner credit for winning Trump the election. They credit. I'll play all the articles in a second, but what part of your video is in this?
I put the timestamp in the comments. I think it was 114, or it should be right below. Yeah, right there.
114. Let's see some of that.
Do we really think
you can hear
the
this,
president,
right?
the puppet, has any real power or influence to change anything for you?
Here, we'll lower the quality, and hopefully this will play. I am streaming.
Or for me, for us, the average enslaved citizen. Do we really think that? And out of every...
I just gotta say, I really like your style. You're really effective, and just like, you've got knowledge and like skills way beyond your years, man. I'm seriously impressed.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I can't imagine how big you could be and how effective and influential you're going to be in a few more years, you know.
Well, it's just like I said, it's about actually trying to make a difference. That's what I want to do. I want to build up a whole community, and just have as many people as possible talking about this information. Because with operations like the information warfare operation, it's hard to break through that conditioning. I mean, he's got such a massive chunk of people who think they're awake, and it's so hard to convince them that they've been duped again, for a second time. But they come around eventually.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a super chat. Let me make sure I can see me here. Yeah. We're going to be taking super chat questions and reading them out as long as they are appropriate and tasteful enough that I can read. Michael X. White says, I enjoy watching your program. I watch every new video you put up. Keep spreading the truth. Thank you so much, Michael. Handsome Truth 3. Oh, what happened to number 2, Handsome Truth? Or I should say, what happened to number 1 also? That one disappeared? Looks like everybody needs to go subscribe to a third version of a YouTube channel. The ADL will not let this guy keep his channel up. So Handsome Truth 3, $10. Thank you. He says, Matthew North, love your work. You name the J. The 6th letter, 0 equals 15th letter. Okay, we got some numerology stuff. 1 plus 5 equals 6. 24th letter. I'm sorry, Handsome Truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Fox 666. Yeah, okay. So what do you think about the 666 and Kushner and the hexagram having all the sixes in it?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that in itself is easy, evil. It's more sacred or forbidden knowledge. Like 666 is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. That's your it makes up your DNA, human DNA. So I think it's more just that's what a lot of this is just hidden knowledge and hidden information. But the issue is those people like Kushner hoard that information and use it against you, use it to enslave you, and sits up there on his supremacist high horse and keeps you, as a slave. So
he is undoubtedly, undebatedly, Kushner is in a supremacist cult. They want to rule the world. They're apocalyptic. They're obsessed with the end of days. I mean, he went and visited. Here, I'll just got to start bringing these up. I got to get my links up. But also, I wanted to say about the hexagram is the 6. You when you put a spell on somebody, you put a hex on somebody. It's interesting, those base root words. And what I always say is that you could just Google origins of the hexagram. You can see Farrakhan videos on it, or a bunch of other people cover it. It's also in the documentary Marching to Zion by Pastor Steven Anderson. And go ahead.
And the Rothschilds, the Bauer family, the Red Shield Rothschild, they used it for their crest, I believe. They included it in their family crest back in the 1800s or 1700s. So I call it the Rothschild 6-pointed star. But like you said, it goes back way before that. It's a very ancient symbol.
Yeah, the Seal of Solomon, right? And wasn't Solomon known to be like some kind of in like the black arts or some kind of magician or something like that?
Yeah, he wrote like the Lesser and Greater Keys of Solomon, which is just traditional Western magic. That's more of like calling on Yahweh to protect you from the demons and stuff like that. That's more of like a Christianized version, but yeah, it's same thing. Jewish mysticism, basically.
Kushner's speaking of that. Kushner is also Kabbalah. Him and Trump is even Kabbalah.
Yes.
Somebody shared that to me on Twitter the other day from one of his books. Like his book was The Secret of Success, and he says, "Yeah, I spoke with my Kabbalah guru," and that wasn't you that sent me that, was it?
No, I actually retweeted that. I was not aware of that, and that's a little secret behind the scenes with these ultra rich people. The less than 1%. They're all into Jewish magic typically. So that tells you something. Why are they all into that? Why do they all take that seriously?
Yeah.
In
the Kabbalah and Freemasonry, essentially like the Kabbalah for the goys is the way I've heard it described recently.
That's a great way to describe it. It's again Jewish magic with a little Christian flair to it, and some other things tied in there, but it's ultimately Jewish mysticism yet again.
Oh, I thought for a second that I got to look at the forward again, but I guess that they limit you, and I overdo. I look at too much Israeli news. Is Ivanka Trump getting into Kabbalah with red thread bracelet? Well, we know the answer to that, and it's not just the Kabbalah; it's also Chabad Lubavitch, and you do a lot of videos on Chabad. What can you just give us some info on Chabad? Why I get up some of these links?
Well, Chabad, I referred to him before I was aware of him. I knew that somewhere there was a Eastern Jewish power that Trump was heavily involved in, and then I got involved with another broadcasting. I don't want to name them because they're completely blacklisted off YouTube, but I have no issue against them. And I started, they started dumping a bunch of information on me, and that's where I originally learned about Chabad, and that's when it all clicked. Like I knew about the concept, but I didn't know exactly what the organization is. So as you say, and what your channel does a great job of outlining, it's really this apocalyptic cult. I'll go ahead and call it a death cult because they want the end times. It's it's this. They want to bring about. It's all about bringing about prophecy and bringing about the end times. And it's not very big, but it's heavily involved with Putin and Trump. So
yeah,
there's your connection.
The Sanhedrin is sending letters and asking Putin and Trump to help them rebuild the temple. And also they sent out a letter asking the Arab friends to come together and agree to help them build the temple. I've also heard that they're talking about moving the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa to Saudi Arabia so that they can build.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that, but that would be interesting. I could see him doing that. Saudi Arabia would be an interesting location. So,
that's where all the other Muslim holy sites are. So hundreds of thousands in donations tie Kushner's and Trump to Chabad movement. That's Haaretz. And then another forward. This says... This is annoying. It says 324,000. Here, this is what it is. 300 forward. 342,000 to Chabad still surprises Jared and Ivanka. That's what they're paying.
And it's also in my opinion, it's also a crime faction. It's also a mafia that's internationally involved in crime. For example, Parkland, that was a Chabad community, Sheriff Israel and all that stuff. So I think they have more influence than people realize.
The Rebbe, isn't he the most well-respected, most famous rabbi in Jewish modern history?
Are you talking about Schneerson or
Rebbe
whatever?
Schneerson, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he is. And doesn't that name that gives me chills. It sounds like someone's talking backwards or something. I can't stand the way that a lot of these names sound for whatever reason. It just drives me crazy.
And Ivanka Trump visit Lubavitcher Rebbe's gravesite ahead of election. And this, all he talked about is the Moshiach. We want the Moshiach now. There's video of him Rebbe and Netanyahu. People have seen it. I've covered these all the time. Let's see if it comes up. Here it is. Rebbe and Bibi Netanyahu. Look at what he says. This is in 1990s. Many things have progressed to bring the Moshiach. See, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
This is the prime minister, an Adelson Rothschild puppet, behind the war on terror. This is him with the most respected rabbi scolding him that we need to do more to bring the Moshiach. And now look who's right up next to Trump. Look who, he's sleeping in Kushner's bed when he's little, and look who's Trump's top advisor. This is and we're going to get kicked off of the internet for talking about this kind of stuff because the ADL's in charge of all of it, of B'nai B'rith. I mean, how are you doing? You have 2 strikes, right, on your channel right now?
Something like. Well, I think eventually they go away. I don't think I've had a video removed in a while just because I haven't put that many out. But I've had it before where I might have 2 strikes. I would have to go back and look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
just
had
a lot of videos censored.
Oh, pretty much all of them. Yeah, and I've had a good probably about 10 or more over the last year that have just been completely removed. It's really annoying when they just take all the comment section stuff out and you can't share them because then that's it. I'd rather have them. What they like to do is freeze your views at like 1.6 or 1.7K. I'm fine with that. But because it's really getting more than that. But they just freeze it at that every time. They just censor it. They don't want this information out there. And with these Chabad people, I mean, who are they? Why are they lighting a menorah on the White House lawn? Why does nobody question that? I don't understand that. Like, don't you want to figure out who these people are? Why do they have this much influence over the president of the United States?
I know. Yeah. And to talk about it is not racist or white supremacist on our part whatsoever, and that's how they try to frame it. That's all they have. Okay, back it up a second. So do something to hasten his coming. That's what he tells him. He says the same thing when he met Menachem Begin. You guys get the point. You can go watch the video for yourself. I've covered it before. So let me any more on Schneerson? Oh, the quote. Yeah, the quote of Schneerson, the racist supremacist quote. He says like the spheres, the satanic spheres, Rebbe, satanic spheres. This is the guy who Kushner looks up to. Here's counterpunch. Why is the U.S. honoring a racist rabbi?
Yeah, the Goyim soul is not as pure as the Jewish soul. And
it's the same as you hear from all the other racist supremacists in Judaism. While Chabad sometimes openly teaches the soul of the Jew is different than the soul of the non-Jew, Schneerson's specific teachings on the subject are largely unknown. And they convinced Reagan to have a day dedicated. The Education Day is dedicated to this man who thinks that our souls, the Goyim souls, are cattle, and we're only here to serve them.
Well, and that's the issue. People are just ignorant on it. If people knew this, I don't know how they would go along with it. I mean, it's funny they call Trump a Nazi because they're really Jewish supremacists. It's almost like a joke,
Mm-hmm. It says here, this is his words, we're a different species. The difference in the inequality between Jews and non-Jews is, quote, so great that the bodies should be considered as completely different species. An even greater difference exists in regard to the soul. 2 contrary types of soul exist. A non-Jewish soul comes from 3 satanic spheres, while the Jewish soul stems from holiness. And it's not just Kushner either. Can you help me with some of the other Chabad people involved with this and Trump? You're really good at all the names.
Oh, I'm horrible with names.
All the Russian names are kind of tough.
Yeah. Are you talking about like one of my more recent videos?
Well, like the
like
Felix
that network?
Sater and Michael Cohen and Abramovich and those type of people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How about Corsi and Alex Jones and this? Or actually, hold on. Before we move on to that, let's get this. I wanted to show you guys this. So this is Amazon Prime. It's called Jerusalem and the Lost Temple of the Jews.
The Cowboys are trying to get to the Super
great.
Bowl
We got
for the
a
first time.
commercial. You know what? We're going to get out of that.
Brutal.
What, the commercial?
Yeah, they make you watch an ad.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Here, I got it here, though. It's my latest one, 2007, 18. Okay. Notice who's at the very beginning of this. So I just recorded this whole thing. I can't play more than like 10 seconds at a time, or else I will definitely get it taken down. But, so read this along with me right here. The most unprecedented and unparalleled event in human history will be the return of Jesus to earth. Over the centuries, there have been signs that have reminded the world of the magnificent and concluding event, but there remains one more sign, one last grand sign that has yet to come into view. And that sign, until it manifests and materializes, prevents the second coming of Christ. This film is about that sign. So the most Zionist thing you've ever heard, right? It's all about the temple. Look who comes in.
Here could change all of that.
Recognize him? It's Joseph Farah from WND.
WND, yeah.
When Abraham Lincoln was president, he had little time to give serious thought to the importance of Jerusalem.
Okay, we'll pause it there. So Joseph Farah, he is a member of CMP. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so the Council for National Policy is a council that stemmed from the John Birch Society. Personally, well, it's a military intelligence front or State Department, Pentagon front, whatever you want to call it. And they fill it with people like journalists. Historically, they've done the same thing with things like the CIS, Council on Inter-American Securities. And what they do is for example, they did that with Reagan. With people like Pat Buchanan, and they shuttled them through his administration, sort of like they did with Trump, with a lot of these people, Bannon, Conway. There was quite a few people associated with the Council for National Policy. Corsi, who's associated with InfoWars. He
worked at WorldNet Daily for like his whole career before he moved over to InfoWars, which is speaks volumes of what's happened at InfoWars.
Yep, and then he so it's basically a military intelligence front that allows them to run operations and push specific propaganda. For example, the birther issue that stems from the Council for National Policy, the Clinton Chronicles, things like this. They push propaganda through it, so it's a front for them to run military operations via journalists that are really double agents. But it's important to point these things out because these are the networks. These are the Christian Zionist networks that are associated with these Chabad people. They're also heavily associated with the mafia. They're mostly criminals.
Isn't the CMP funded by Rockefeller?
I believe early on, Nelson Rockefeller dumped some money into it. Yes.
I believe there's a photo with Nelson Rockefeller and Corsi, but here we go. CMP, Corsi brings you up the SPLC. Interesting. They say that they're a hate group, apparently, a right-wing, Christian Zionist conspiracy group, possibly. But the Council for National Policy, so it's basically the CFR of Christian Zionists. Fair to say?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Behind the curtain, so Corsi, Joseph Farah, the guys from WND. Isn't there a few other big names that like kind of give us a picture of what they're like?
Yeah, there's a ton of big names. Basically, what they are, it's the conspiracy culture. It's the alternative media.
The Mercer family, which funds Breitbart and Project Veritas. I'm gonna be having people probably know The World Needs This Man on YouTube. His name is John Swin. He's a researcher from the UK who does a lot of the research behind the Talpiot guys and works with Brendan O'Connell and some of those people. I'm going to be having him on pretty soon to get deep into the Mercer, Shillman, Gatestone, CMP type stuff is what he really specializes in. These Christian Zionist groups, foundations, and entities, institutions behind Trump.
Right, and the Coors family you see there, the Heritage Foundation, it's all the which was a conspiracy culture, which it's not new. It originated in the 50s with the John Birch Society, but that's now, as we see in 2018, merged with mainstream conservatism. So that's what it is. They were actually smart by getting a foot in the door. It was really long-range planning that worked out for them, and the left are being left behind because they didn't get involved in this online conspiracy stuff.
The SPLC calls them a highly secretive group. I mean, I've never heard of these guys. Corsi works at InfoWars, but we've never gotten disclosure that he belongs to this right-wing Zionist think tank group. It's just the fact that here it is, Joseph Farah. This is a Zionist Organization of America, their own website, 2003. Right? He was probably cheerleading for the Iraq War and, pushing the 9/11 disinfo. But do a little Control F for Joseph. And we got at the dinner in New York, lost it. At the dinner in New York, the ZOA's Ben Hite Award for Outstanding Journalism was presented to Joseph Farah. That's the founder of WND. He's been on InfoWars, too. Been on InfoWars.
Yep, and InfoWars pushes WND all the time. It's a synergistic thing where it's cross promotion, and all these different groups cross promote each other, and it's the same network. It's the same Chabad Zionist, Christian Zionist, apocalyptic cult. Mm-hmm. That's what you do a really good job of laying that out. That's what they are. They're an apocalyptic cult. I
got this idea from you, and you can. I'll just get you started, and you can take it, but. This idea that Alex Jones's whole purpose from the very beginning was to be Mr. New World Order, to be the one to actually usher in the New World Order. Can you tell me about that concept?
Yeah, I think that's with Jones. People got to remember, I personally don't look at him as someone that's 100% aware of the manipulation that's going on with himself. I look at him as someone who's under quite a bit of mind control. Who is manipulated quite a bit, used and abused a lot, and I wonder how much he remembers, and if he realizes what he's doing as far as bringing in this whole brave new world order, this bigger world order, or if he really thinks that he's waging the second American Revolution for a truly free society. I don't know. I think he's obviously knows he's deceptive on some things. But as far as this bigger picture stuff, I think he's so manipulated and so close to it, he can't really see what direction he's pushing everybody into. But that's just my personal opinion. He could be, completely deceptive and knowingly lead people into this brave new world order agenda. But it is funny that they set him up, and now he's ushering all this stuff in. And right now both sides are really pushing for violence. I think they're going to start making some moves here pretty soon.
Me too. A lot of people say that, like, oh, it would have been so bad if Hillary was in, but I see Trump being the man that is making the ultimate objective of the Zionist and the New World Order to actually come to fruition. He is helping them move the embassy. He is. They already say, I have the video up on my channel, the guy showing the coin with Trump, the Sanhedrin minted, and he says the embassy is a major step towards rebuilding the temple. And who was there on the day of the embassy being announced? It was Jared Kushner. Took the stage and almost became known. Everybody goes, oh, we heard him for the first time he talked. And I think I strongly believe that Alex Jones knows about this whole plan. He's known about it from the very beginning. I've heard him talking about Kushner. I'll play the clips in this video of him hyping up Kushner, saying that they're grooming him to be president. He's not just guessing that. He knows something on the inside that's what's going on. He majored in government at Harvard while he was the president of the Friends of Chabad club. I mean, also,
they very well could be.
Jones is pushing Rex 84 now, which used to be bad, and he's also talked about having Trump use martial law to go after the liberals, and the deep state is just liberals now, and Jones has turned into a complete partisan hack. Even his wife is all over Twitter saying it. Go ahead.
Well, I just briefly mentioned some of his executive orders. He signed one back in December that put us in a state of emergency that he can enact. And he signed quite a few since then. I don't think he would be signing these unless he wants to do something with them. And they're real hush-hush about it. They're also very hush-hush about Eric Prince and his private mercenary army. Now, I know they're using them internationally, but I also think it's like his own private SS, and I think they're probably going to use them domestically as well. And he signed executive orders that gives him the right to use private domestic armies as well as a private judge advocate community for the court martial. So if they wanted to, I look at it as like a new version of the Army McCarthy hearings. If they want to go after Hillary, it's going to be a big WWE show, I think, and they might go after some of these Democrats and make a big spectacle out of it and have their own private judge advocate community. Go after them with their own military. It seems like they're ramping protest up a lot right now. All it takes is one person, pulling out a 45 and killing someone, and that executive order comes into play, and I could see them moving in real quick and finishing it real quick and really taking central control. That wouldn't surprise me at all, but I'm sure plenty of people disagree. But
well, with Trump being, tied in so close with all the Zionists that did 9/11, I would have to imagine that they have another big false flag up their sleeve to be able to pull off, taking Jerusalem and really setting Jerusalem up as the capital there. Likely the Dome of the Rock, which reminds me, did you see my video with the prediction from Game of Thrones and Alex Jones talking about the Dome being blown up?
Yeah,
the predictive programming.
Yep.
Somebody, one of my listeners found a new video, a music video of Ariana Grande with the same imagery of a dome being destroyed, and right before she says a Bible verse, like a butchered Bible verse about the bringing down the thunder or something. I'll play that in a second, but let me close. Oh, that's right. I have it over here. Let me finish this one that we're playing here. A little more Joseph Fair, and then I want to skip right to the end of this documentary for the next clip. And this is an eerie preview of what is to come once this temple is rebuilt, which all these guys, W&D, tied in, Rebel Media, Breitbart, all surrounding Alex Jones. These are the ones. Years and years of denying being a Zionist, Alex Jones always denied it. Everybody is vindicated that said that he was. It's so transparent now. He doesn't even hide it. Go ahead.
Let me say one thing before you play it. Like you said, he would call out the Zionists very early on, but look how he's almost single-handedly turned the entire. I mean, think about the culture back then. If you watch old videos of radio talk show hosts back then versus now in the truther community, it's mainstream conservatism. He's almost single-handedly moved it and shifted the whole thing over to where it is now. It's really amazing.
That's a good observation. He corralled up all of the people that used to fall off the Fox News train, and then he would pick up the alternative media but still be the gatekeeper and keep you from the truth while giving you way more truth than news. And now he's actually brought everybody back over to Fox News, and he's hyping up Sean Hannity and saying him and Tucker Carlson are patriots now. And it's bizarre. After years and years of Fox News calling Alex Jones a conspiracy theorist and trashing all the stuff that Jones covered. And now we got Roger Stone on InfoWars saying, I've been friends with Roger Ailes for 30 years. It's like, that should be a red flag to anybody listening to Alex Jones for longer than the last 3 years.
Yeah, and John Bolton and Henry Kissinger and everybody else. It's
Roger Stone says he's friends with Bolton too.
If you notice, InfoWars, there's a lot of subconscious manipulation going on. And if you notice, they all have that real slow moving American flag behind them, even the Fox News guys.
Hey, don't talk too much trash about the flag, bro.
No, I'm saying...
you see my screen?
Oh, man. I
copied Tucker Carlson. This is my way of trying to hijack the Fox News viewers and show people something familiar so it catches their eye.
It works.
Some people say that they bypass me because they think I'm Fox, but did you finish your thought there? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So this is a little more Joseph Fair, and then we'll skip to the end.
But today, Jerusalem is that burdensome stone that the prophet Zechariah talked about. It appears to be an intractable and unsolvable dilemma.
It appears to be impossible, but we're going to make it happen. That's something that they always say, is that like, oh, it's amazing that Israel, it's prophecy, it's fulfilling prophecy, but they don't understand that they're doing everything in their power to make it happen. It's not like it's just happening.
Exactly.
Oh wait, I'm still on my Fox News screen. Sorry, there we go. Okay.
But what you're about to hear could change all of that.
So this whole film is basically about that the temple should be built on a slope next to the Temple Mount, and that the Temple Mount is an old Roman fortress, and they got it wrong and mixed up, so that they can build it now and they don't have to destroy the dome or let God take care of it, which is what the other guy says. And but one thing else I wanted to point out about this is that in the beginning they quote from the Bible, and it's a quote about remembering Zion and the temple, and it's the same quote that the rabbi said at Trump's inauguration. Starts off this documentary all about rebuilding the temple so Jesus can return. Isn't that pretty eerie? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You saw the rabbi at the inauguration?
Yeah, that is very eerie. And the only promises Trump has really kept have been his promises to his Jewish supporters. So obviously that comes first. The temple is going to be a huge part of this. I'm completely agree with you. Something's going to happen with that. Especially if they're doing music videos now with prepping you for it. They don't put that in those productions unless they're really going to do something. They're getting ready for it. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. And some people are probably going to think I'm crazy saying that Moshiach wasn't a thing, but linguistic programming is a real thing. Perception without awareness. People need to go see that video of the hypnotist in the mall doing to this people. They are playing with our subconscious mind. This is like black magic, mind control, Kabbalah type stuff. And it's not unreal. It may be wrong, a coincidence, but it's not unreasonable to point it out. I think there's something there. So I'll move here to the end. It's 127. This is what a sign to come of what's going to happen when the temple is built. And I got another super chat I'm gonna get to in a second when I'm done with this. It's about one of your videos.
Springs, and that area was surrounded and protected by deep valleys and cliffs. And we've seen that. Third, he said that it would be built.
Okay, so see, this is the Temple Mount here. They're saying, oh, we should build it right here on this slope. And then the next few minutes is just like calm, peaceful, religious music, just showing images of the slope. Which, does that look like the place where a temple used to exist? I don't know.
On a crescent shape.
With great sadness, he stood on this mountain and prophesied that the glorious city Jerusalem would be completely destroyed. And then he said a long period of desolation would follow.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. This is right where it starts. So this is what happens, and this is from Amazon Prime documentary, which is starring Joseph Farah from WND, all about rebuilding the temple. And once the temple is built, this is what's going to happen. Ready? Here's the soundbite.
He called that long period of desolation the times of the Gentiles. And Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. By this statement.
Okay, so you hear that? The isolation of desolation is the time of the Gentiles. So all this time has been the time of the Gentiles, which, first of all, if this is the time of the Gentiles, I don't even want to see what the time of the Jews is going to look like. Because it's like, right. They almost say we have partial control right now, but when the temple is built, we're going to have full control. There's a literal interview of an Israeli on the streets saying that. I could play it. I put it up before. I have to pause this, otherwise I'm going to get the copyright, you know? So here it is where he says, what the time after the Gentiles.
He also indicated there would come a fulfillment and an end to the times of the Gentiles. But today, Jerusalem is still trodden down, a divided city occupied with Muslims.
Okay, just got to pause it again in a second. Hold on, let me go to this super chat real quick. Okay, we're going to talk about your video, Open Letter to Trump Supporters is Epic. That's what Handsome Truth wants to talk about. So we'll go to that in a second. And also, Handsome Truth wants to know, how did Matthew North get red-pilled on the JQ? So think about those two for a second while this clip is going. He's just going to say it's the time of the Jews. But So when the temple's built, the Gentile time is over, and it's the time of the Jews, and we're going to be their slaves. And that's not an exaggeration or hyperbole or anything.
Christians, Armenians, and all kinds of religious groups. And the Jews are still without their temple. And so the prophecy of the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled has not come to pass.
See, when the temple comes, the Gentiles' time is over. That's what they're telling us. And the Christians are going along with it, with the promise that Jesus is going to come and destroy the Messiah. Which, I don't know, but the only thing that I can think of to explain this unholy alliance, tell me what you think, Matthew, is that the Jews wrote the Bible, and they think, how can we get into power? Maybe we can convince the Christians to help us. And to say, oh yeah, after we get our Messiah, our King, to rule the world from Jerusalem and all these prophecies, we get everything we want, then Jesus will return and then we'll be destroyed. Like, am I the only one that sees it like that? What's your take?
No, I've heard that before, and it's possible. And the Bible would be useful for multiple different things. Just, making you turn the other cheek, making you not fight back. It's very possible.
Pay unto Caesar too.
Right, right. There's a lot of things in there that are counterproductive. At the same time, I wonder how many of these Christian Zionists are actually crypto Jews and consider themselves Jewish, or think that they're the real Jews secretly or something. It's hard to comprehend why these guys are pushing for this so hard, but they are. It seems like the Christian Zionists are in the forefront of all this. Why is that?
They say that Kufi, the preacher, John Hagee at Cornerstone Church, which Cornerstone is like Masonic all the way, the cornerstone laying. His PAC, Kufi, the Christians United for Israel, they say raises more money than AIPAC. And you mentioned earlier, and you're totally right, that the only real promises that Trump has kept are to Adelson and to AIPAC.
Exactly. And an InfoWars can get up there and say, look at all these promises he's keeping. He moved, it's just the promises to
look at how great the economy's doing, which is like the Wall Street bankers are doing well. Goldman Sachs is doing up. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's appoint a Goldman Sachs guy to police Wall Street. He immediately handed the economy over to Goldman Sachs. That was one of the first things he did. All those guys and Rothschild bankers. So, but yet the information warfare operation can make you think that's okay, that those are the good guys on the inside that are it's unbelievable. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Alex Jones's whole narrative that he's weaving here, that he's working with, which is probably true. I believe him, I think it really is a Zionist coup going on against the leftist communist Zionist faction. That really is what's going on, and Jones explains it, and we're gonna go into your video. You've covered it very well. Great commentary and analysis that really blew my mind the other night I was watching it. I've been going over your videos a lot the last few days. They're wonderful stuff. Everybody should check it out. I'll show it again in a second, but let's just finish this clip and we'll answer the super chats and then get into the Jones stuff.
But the glory of Jerusalem will once again return, and the times of the Gentiles will come to an end once the temple is rebuilt. But obviously, until the Jews come to the conclusion of just...
So the time of the Gentiles will be over when the temple is built. Let's help them build it, Gentiles. Let's send them billions of dollars.
Where their temple belongs, well, we're just going to have to wait.
Okay, that's the end of that. Thanks for letting me play that, Matt. I wanted to get that out. When you learn new information, it's like you don't want to have to always do a huge documentary around it. It's good just to get it out so people can see it right away. So why don't you answer us the super chat questions that Handsome Truther had. How did you get red-pilled on the JQ?
That's a good question, and what really red-pilled me with that is the whole situation in Europe with the what's going on there. And I saw the whole. I recognize the whole, pitting the Christians against the Muslims, and I noticed somebody was playing those two people off against each other. There's something going on there. That's all manipulated, and them who's shipping these people in? It's all Jewish, NGOs and then of course the Rothschilds. I was aware of them. So from there, it kind of just snowballed where all these globalists are Jewish, and they don't even hide it. They're out in the open about it. And then you start to come across the Jewish supremacy, and you realize what it is.
Almost
and
all.
who these people
Almost
are.
all.
Almost
we don't
all.
want to speak in absolutes. It's almost all. There's plenty of Gentile collaborator, Christian Zionists, Freemasons sucked into this stuff too. We don't want to say that it's only them, but it's not only the Jays. It's not all Jays, but it still is the blanks.
Well, no, I agree with that. There's plenty of Christian Zionists, but what I'm talking about here is like the central banking system, controlling the money supply, the debt-based monetary system. That when you control the money supply like that, you pretty much control everything. And then institutions like Hollywood, that's Jewish run. That's propaganda. That's training, your kids or whoever how to think and what their perception of the world is. So I mean, they've place themselves in very key institutions, which they've done historically. That's why they've got kicked out of so many European countries in the past.
Yeah, and since you mentioned Hollywood, I'm sorry, but I just got to do what's going on here? I just got to do a plug real quick for my latest video, and then we'll move on to the video that Handsome Truth asked about. But here's my latest one. Alex Jones caught lying about who runs Hollywood. So it's only 5 minutes. And it just shows this is one of these videos that I hope will get shared around more than just to my normal audience, because it's short and it's more general. But I hope everybody appreciates this little graphic I did. You see how I added the perfect diss on the beginning of InfoWars? It took a little bit of effort to find the right font and get it stretched out and fit just right. So I hope Alex likes that, since he wants to lie about who runs Hollywood and who runs the media and who's behind the New World Order and who's behind the War on Terror and who's behind the refugee crisis in Europe. So, your video. Tell us. So this is your channel. Everybody go subscribe. And also, while you're at it, give us a like on the live stream and help us share the link. How many people are watching right now? Let's see. I hate to do this when people watch. 414 watching, and we're already an hour in. We'll probably do about 2 hours. You're good for another hour, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, so
it's one of my earlier videos.
One of your earlier videos. So this was a Handsome Truth. It was a message to Donald Trump, right? Oh, I got this so huge. I saw this one too.
Open letter to Donald Trump, yeah.
Yeah.
Or to Trump supporters.
Open letter to Trump supporters. Do you still trust this Zionist puppet?
And that was shared around quite a bit. Like that got up to like 10K or something in a couple weeks, and then it kind of froze there, and then it's
censored. Look, you can see here there's no view count next to it. That's because it's been showed into the no man's land. ADL says you're not allowed to talk about this kind of stuff. And it's starting to be very concerning. So, see, this is the special treatment that we get for talking about these people. You want to see who rules over you? Who can you not criticize?
Exactly.
Hello, I hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to do kind of an open letter video to all you Trump supporters that are still out there hanging.
Okay, so we won't play the whole thing, but what's some of the main points that you get into here? And everybody go check this out and try to bypass the censorship and try to share it on your social media and stuff all you can.
There's another one that someone posted that's not censored. I wish I had the link to it, but I don't. It's just a basic overview of the hypocrisy of the Trump, what he said versus what he did. Just understanding who the globalists are. On the left and the right, they're both have allegiance to Israel. They're dual citizens. That's something that's right in front of people's faces that they just don't look into because they get told that they're the globalist. But then I mentioned like Cambridge Analytica and Council for National Policy and stuff like that in there. Mm-hmm. I really wanted people to look into the Cambridge Analytica back then. That was before the mainstream media covered it, which I said the mainstream media is going to cover this eventually, and it had the opposite effect where, it's on CNN, it's fake news. Like there's nothing real that comes out of any non alt-right, or I mean alt-light media to Trump supporters. I mean, it's ridiculous. You talk to and I've noticed that people who are on Facebook, I've had conversations with conservatives who are on Facebook. You can't have any conversation with them. They get angry at you, and they think they're right about everything, and they don't listen. The conservatives who aren't on Facebook are open to read about Cambridge Analytica. So that just shows you how effective, that's just my personal experience, the psychographic warfare really is. I mean, I've really noticed that. So.
Yeah, the liberals are doing a good job of making Russia collusion look crazy and unjustified, the way, like, you know, like an excuse for Hillary losing. But and I bought it for a little while too, but it wasn't until recently I realized that the Russian collusion is really Russian with brackets. And it seems like Mueller is starting to look into some of the Israeli ties and connections, but at the same time I saw Comey was covering it up. I think you covered that. Did you use the clip in your video of Comey being asked about Felix Sater?
Yeah, Swalwell asked him, and some here. Wait, this was a long time ago too. That was out of that was included in that Zembla documentary, which is a lefty documentary. But there's a lot of good information in there. That's pretty much where most of this Chabad stuff sprung from. But it's an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and so Cambridge, just so people know, Cambridge Analytica is real. This is how Kushner won Trump the election. They credit Kushner for this, and now he's the innovation czar. He heads the Office of Innovation. You know, this was just another check mark on the possibility that he's going to be hailed as the Antichrist figure, that he possesses advanced technology. I've heard rumors, I don't know if it's confirmed, that his headquarters has a company that's building some kind of chip that they say is going to be used in the worldwide cryptocurrency, you know, Mark of the Beast system. But
yeah, that's Loomis Technologies, or Loomis something technologies. It's very occultic, everything about it. But yeah, I've seen that.
Let's see if anything comes up there. Startup that got a seat at White House roundtable is part owned by Kushner.
It's like a RFID chip or something.
The other Kushner brothers' big bet. Wow. Here's a Variety article where they. Oh, Loomis isn't in there. Loomis isn't in any of these.
No, I know. It starts with an L. It's not exactly it.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll put a link. Somebody put a link. Drop a link in the comments. But here, look. Speaking of savior-like mentality, Superman is is like a savior messiah icon. You know, what's the term for like archetype? It's the archetype of the Messiah, of the chosen one, of the savior. And right here we got New York Times opinion, Jared Kushner, Man of Steel. I saw another one I shared a while back called Kushner Crown Prince, the Crown Prince Kushner.
I got a clip of Jones talking about Trump wanting to be the average man's king, and he wants his family to be, the crown jewel in his dynasty or something like that. But it's very similar semantics there, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Here, I found the one, the downfall of Crown Prince Kushner. I mean, when you see all these headlines, like, you know, when you see the memes of the headlines and it shows that, whoa, there officially is a talking point. Like during the election, it was like the dark theories. One of them was Hillary's, and it was every headline had the same repeated rhetoric. And I'm seeing all messianic rhetoric here for Kushner. And the guy is at 666 building. And that 666 is the whole theme of the building. Everywhere, and in these documentaries, you'll see all these headlines and stuff. He paid 3 times more for the building than it was bought for 10 years before. And it was at the time, it was the most expensive building that was ever bought. The 666 building, 5th Avenue. It's his headquarters.
And all the Christian Trump supporters, no problem. You know, there's nothing there. Jared Kushner's a good man. Alex Jones said so. I mean, that's the kind of thinking. But this headline right here, the downfall of Crown Prince Kushner, that's the subconscious manipulation. You keep repeating Crown Prince Kushner. That most of your thought process, 95% of your thoughts are your subconscious. So you're reading that, you're not consciously thinking about that, but you know, a year later, that's in your subconscious. And when you think about Kushner, Crown Prince pops up. You know, so you know that archetype, like you were saying, they are propping him up for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Kushner says Trump's deal of the century. So they're all saying he's going to bring peace too. He's going to bring peace to the region, which is another check mark of a sign of the Antichrist. And what Chabad Lubavitch says is that every generation there's somebody who is eligible and capable to be the Messiah, the Moshiach. But it's if it's the right time and that person like comes into the right place that it can happen. And I mean, just Kushner's helping get the temple rebuilt. He's going to be a powerful leader. Jones says he's groomed to be president. And then later on, he was boosting him up, saying, oh, you're strong, you're good. Already trying to sell him to the audience. I mean, this is just so transparent. Other people have been talking about it for a long time. I'm not the first one to say it, but I am like 99% convinced, I would say. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you think it's crazy or if you agree. And it's exciting. And it doesn't mean that all of this is real and that all of this metaphysical, spiritual stuff is actually real. It doesn't have to be real. It could be. It doesn't have to be, but they all believe it's real and they're trying to make it happen.
It's definitely a game plan for them. They take this stuff very seriously. Most people don't believe in it, but they take this it's their game plan. So we better pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So anything else about this open letter? Do you think it worked? Are Trump supporters waking up? Do you see a lot of people waking up online, or has everybody bought into Q and thinks Trump is still buying into Alex Jones?
You know, at the time I was posting these videos, the narrative shifts constantly, but this was kind of because during the campaign, the stuff he was saying was so opposite to some of the stuff he initially did, like boots on the ground in Syria right away, Iran, enemy number one, playing into the whole PNAC agenda there. Regardless of what you think about them, it was no war to war. And so back then there was quite a few people in the comments that go, I was just uninformed about a lot of this stuff. Like I was listening to other medias and I just didn't know about most of this stuff. And there were quite a few people that seemed like they had a change of heart about and realized who Trump really is, the Zionist puppet.
Yeah. I even got duped by Trump to a degree because, I feel like with Kushner, and they were using these algorithms and they were doing this data mining through Facebook and everything, and they sold us through Alex Jones. They went out to their controlled opposition and branded and marketed Trump as an outsider. We made, he threw us little dog whistles about the Federal Reserve, and he made that video with Janet Yellen and Blank Fine and Goldman Sachs, and everybody called him an anti-Semite because of that. He hinted at some bits of 9/11 truth, even though it was just the Arab roll. And what bugs me so much about Jones, I think you covered this, is that he always says, like, his defense is Trump on 9/11 said that there was bombs, and he's a truther, he knows it all. But then a few days later, everybody knows Trump totally flipped his script and said, oh yeah, well, hijackers can bring anything down, and it was so hot, and he completely changed it.
Yeah, yep. He did a couple interviews and then he completely flipped the script and went along with the agenda, because that's what he is. He's a puppet of the agenda, ultimately. After
he talked to Silverstein and Netanyahu and probably all the Zionist people all around him, bailed out by the Rothschilds and probably controlled, made man even before that with his dad.
Yep.
Yeah, so, you mentioned dual citizens earlier, and I just have to, every time I hear dual citizen, I'm going to bring this up, that I did a debate with a guy named Shlomo Gordon, an Israeli Jew living in Jerusalem, and he's a Zionist, and he loves Alex Jones. He's got all these videos that are, all these submissions to the InfoWars reporter contest. He's trying to get hired, and he is a Zionist, and it is just so freaking telling that Alex Jones's message is resonating with Zionists in Jerusalem. All these years of denying being a Zionist, now he's just surrounded by Zionists, pushing the most hardcore. Johnny Gatt calls him the Israeli propaganda minister, and I think that fits. I'm wondering when he's going to get his, I tweeted, when is Alex Jones going to get his Defender of Zion award like John Bolton and Glenn Beck and a few others?
All right, he probably already has it behind the scenes. Some of those secret synagogue meetings. I don't know what clubs he's involved in, but
probably NXIVM sex cults with Roger Stone, who knows. But
Yeah.
here's how you know top Israeli intelligence approves of Jones, is when Corsi's on the show, he goes, I just got a text message from top Israeli intelligence and said I'm going to break the news on your show, and they said great. And Alex Jones like, oh, you're really telling people what's going on, like all nervous that he gets he has connections to Israeli intelligence through Corsi, who goes to Israel, writes all these books of Zionist propaganda about bombing Iran, got to do it now, preemptive strikes.
Well, that's what I mean about the CMP. They use people like Corsi to push information out there and push narratives out there. That's the whole point of it. You know, I want to mention something here. American intelligence, Israeli intelligence, British intelligence, it's all the same spider web. It's all the same people at the highest levels. All these global intelligence communities. It's all the same community ultimately. That I know there's people out there that'll say the army's good. There's plenty of uninformed people. There's plenty of true believers, as Oliver North called them. But at the highest levels, it's the same network.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it's the Rothschilds at the top of the pyramid, or do you think it's Chabad is behind them? Because everybody can do this. Just go search engine Chabad Rothschilds, and you will find so many articles about how the secret to Rothschild's success and, you know, their whole family history and how much of a devout Jew, Amschel Bauer was before he changed his name. And, you know, I heard something recently I never heard, is that Rothschild, I've always heard Red Shield, but somebody said it's called Ruth's Child, which is some kind of like a biblical reference thing. I said, oh, that reminds me, I got to play the Ariana Grande. But this interview here with Shlomo, he says, we are stupid. Americans are stupid for allowing Israeli citizens to be in our government. You know?
Yeah, we are. They're dual citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Would we allow dual Chinese citizens in our government? No, of course not. But they're Jews. It's okay. You can't question them. It's anti-Semitic. I mean, that's the kind of idiocy. We need to break that conditioning. It's
mm-hmm.
goes back to things like the Holocaust and guilt, white guilt.
Do you think that what they're doing, why do you think, you cover a lot of the refugee, immigration, white genocide, white displacement stuff in Europe and in America, and, all white European countries, the ones that need diversity and multiculturalism, according to Jews like Barbara Specter, which, she's probably just one. There's probably one like that in every city. But anyway, Shlomo says we're stupid for having dual Israeli citizens in our government, which I agree. He's running for the Knesset at some party. He calls Netanyahu a liar. He says he lies all the time. But he's running, and he says if he wins, he has to give up his American citizenship. So Israel can't have American citizens, but we can have Israeli citizens. And it's just absurd. That's a rule that we really should get passed, is no foreign citizenship in government.
Yeah, I mean, the American taxpayers how much do they leech off of us every year? I mean, we just give money to them. But again, people are just uninformed about that. Why doesn't Alex Jones cover that, Well, so that's why your channel's so important. Just getting that information out there.
You also mentioned Mueller and the cover-up, or the investigation, I should say, of Russian collusion. Do you think that, Mueller was right in there in 9/11? Do you think he's in there as part of a cover-up to keep Israel out of the crosshairs?
Yeah, absolutely. They might mention some of that stuff, but they'll never go down the legitimate route, because ultimately their networks tie into the same networks. There's a lot of cross-contamination going on. And they take orders. It's a hierarchy. They take orders from higher up, and they listen to those orders. So no, they'll never. The complete truth of that will never come out. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Here, we'll go to the dual screen. So where were we? Did we finish? So go check out the Shlomo debate. It was a good one. And somebody just sent this in the chat. Jews visiting the Temple Mount rising fast. So this is just last week. Number of Jews visiting Temple Mount rising fast. When Laura Loomer was there, she tweeted out that she can't wait to liberate the dome. She wants to liberate it. They want to blow it up or get rid of it so they can do the temple, and the time of the Gentiles can be over.
Yeah, again, example of semantics, liberate it, and Laura Loomer, yeah, no comment.
Yeah. So before we wrap up Kushner, what else do you cover here in your part? Because I didn't make it all the way through this documentary. Do you remember? It's probably a while ago, right?
Yeah, I think they cut it off before it's completely over, but I think that they end it when I get into PNAC. Which I get clips. That's really a huge game plan that they're following. Jones will say the CFR, the Chinese American, or the new Chinese century, all this stuff. Even though Steve Pachenik, who's an information warfare operator, he's a big operator behind the scenes with that operation. He was a CFR member,
Sorry.
But yeah. So I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
there.
You're getting distracted on the screen. Sorry about that. Yeah. CFR. Well, do you think Pachinik has been Alex Jones's handler all along, and that the little bones he throws, because he's like one of the only guys that will really even blame Israel for 9/11 on Infowars. He's throwing us a bone, but then it always gets stopped. It doesn't go very far. It goes to commercial. Jones changed the subject, or he just goes, "It's Wolfowitz, it's Pearl, and a couple guys, Cheney."
Yeah.
But that's as far as they ever go.
Right, there's misdirection there, half-truths. Yeah, but I think he has been a handler of Jones for at least since 9/11. I don't know about the entire time, but he's definitely been behind the scenes there for quite a while. And I wouldn't be surprised if he dumped some of his money in there, because that's one of those guys that's got some offshore accounts and all that stuff,
Yeah, and nobody knew what Pachinik looked like until around the Trump election. And he started making YouTube videos saying that, there's a coup happening. And this is the same stuff that Alex Jones is saying. So let's segue into that. Everybody, I'll cover a video just on Kushner and make it a little more professional, or you can just see all the stuff that's already out there. But let's see. What's up?
If you want to play a video for the coup stuff, right next to Jones, that Trump is a result of military intelligence right there, that's a clip of him talking about that stuff. Different clips.
This on his own. He was recruited by patriots. Don't think Trump just did this on his own. He was recruited by patriots in U.S. intelligence agencies, for a fact. Trump was recruited by the U.S. Army. That's a big secret, but you deserve to know what the Democrats already know. You deserve to understand what's really going on. We were being held underwater. That's exactly what all our sources from the FBI...
So Jones is basically, his argument is this is the lesser of two evil. Trump isn't perfect, but we had to take out the Democrats. And so basically he's chosen a side and he's teamed up with clearly the Zionists. This coup is a Zionist coup over our country. And now they finally got their guy in. The Sanhedrin says that he's Cyrus, and that I got a video called The Third Jewish Temple, and there's these televangelists who go, I just spoke with the rabbis from the Sanhedrin, and they have identified the Messiah, and he is here on earth, and he is about to be revealed. The Modest Yahoo song, his most popular song, I've got a video. He used to be Chabad Lubavitch, the same supremacist apocalyptic death cult. The end of his chorus goes, we want Moshiach now, so it's time to start revealing. They're revealing that the end is coming, and everybody is saying it.
Yep. And not only is this a Zionist coup, but it's a Zionist coup being led from the East to a large extent. So it's not like it's coming from America, But, Jones is all about Americana and all that stuff.
Well, that's how he was branded. Somebody sent me a video. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a perfect... I think it was my friend Dante from No Race. He quoted from The Art of War. The famous book, The Art of War. There's a line in there about that describes Alex Jones 100% to the T about being like a tough guy that pretends, but really he's the liar. It is so good. Also, I've seen the memes with the protocols, having a quote that describes Alex. Whether it's Forge. What's your take on the protocols? I haven't really investigated it too much because it seems to be controversial, and whether it's real or not, it seems like it's being carried out. So that's what really matters.
Well, exactly. It's the game plan. It's a version of the same international Jewry, Zionist agenda. It's just a different version of it.
Similar to the Kalergi plan. We'll get into that too at the end, but the Kalergi plan is definitely being played out. And a friend of mine on the phone told me a quote from the Kalergi plan that I hadn't heard for a while, and it was just disturbing, about wanting to have a subhuman Mongol mixed race, which is like what they show us on the cover of the National Geographic magazine of the future human, and then it's going to be a Jewish nobility, a spiritual nobility, right? That's the quote?
Well, yeah, Kalergi wasn't Jewish himself, but all of his financiers were Jewish. And everybody who took interest in his plan was Jewish and began to dump funding into him. He was born to an aristocratic family, but he himself wasn't Jewish, but the funding was. And yes, their plan is to flood it with Eurasian Negroids, is what they call them, so Arabs. Flood it in there, get everybody mixed up so there's no identity. They don't want any identity. They don't want any roots, nothing to fight for. And then after that, yes, and he writes about how Jews are, superior. I think ethnically, he even says superior, and spiritually superior. He says insofar Europe is Christian, it is Jewish, true to an extent. So yeah, that's what that's all about, having a Jewish class rule over the subhuman goy.
Yeah, there's another quote that's similar to that also. It's I believe it's called from like the Pentagon plans or something like that, and it's about lowering our IQ, sending in the lower IQ immigrants into European countries to lower our IQs. This is it, I believe. Israel Cohen, General Secretary of the World Zionist Organization, a racial program for the 20th century. Oh shoot, I don't have this up. Are you familiar with this?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, you know what? This is... While inflaming the Negro minority against the whites, we will endeavor to... Okay, so people can check this out. That's not really readable there, but there's this kind of stuff going on all over the place. So, okay, sorry, we got sidetracked a bit. Let's play a little bit more of this. First of all, already what he said is just like, this is the secret. I believe him. This really is the coup. And also, you get into this guy Zach that he always has on and talking about all these Florida connections. So we'll play a bit more of this. Let me check. Oh, yeah, we'll get it started. Go ahead.
And the Pentagon, which means the CIA connected Pentagon, that's special operations. That's what they told us. And these are the good guys that continue to give us good info. Doesn't mean the whole thing's good. There's a civil war in America right now. One group wanted to totally sell out the communist Chinese. That's coming up in the next segment. The other group isn't out to rape America completely.
So he's making it sound like the leftists were working with the Chinese, but if you actually are aware, and if you've been following the Talpiot guys, China and Israel have all of these deals going down with the Belt and Road Initiative, the new Silk Road going right through Israel, and they're also going to be in charge with cybersecurity of all the financial online transactions with some world currency, cryptocurrency that they're looking into. Wozniak from Apple just called for that. Also, like the top bankers, Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein have been, optimistic about Bitcoin. So, not Bitcoin, but some form of. What do you think of that? That they're going to have a world currency, a mark of the beast, with some form of cryptocurrency?
Oh yeah, that's been the game plan for cryptocurrency. Initially that's what I thought. That's where it's the direction we're going. It's all going to be paperless. Money is not worth anything anyway. It might as well just be numbers on your computer screen. Absolutely, yeah.
The Economist, the cover of The Economist, Rothschild-owned Economist with the 2018 in the coin. You've seen that,
I don't think
right?
I've ever seen that. No.
Oh my God,
no.
You've never seen that? Oh my God, watch this. Economist, and it's I've done this in other videos. It's owned by the Rothschilds.
1988. That's an interesting year. A lot of stuff happened in 1988. It seems like a lot of this comes out of there.
So
that time period.
You've never seen the cover of this. Wow. 1988. Look at this. A coin that says 2018, and it's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And this symbol here, you think like, oh, it's the seal on American money. This is Freemasonry right here. I've seen photo just recently with a 33 right above. It had a double head.
And he's got the fleur-de-lis on his head right there. Yeah, that's very occultic.
Get ready for a world currency. And all the money is burning up down here.
And that looks like Bitcoin. That looks exactly like
I
Bitcoin.
mean, it's a coin. It's literally a coin.
Like the little logo right there.
Oh, that's the Bitcoin logo?
Well, no, it's similar with the line going through it and stuff like that. I mean, for 1988.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyway, couldn't find that on Pachinik. Let's play a second more of this. This gets good.
You're kind of stuck between that. But to go on a rant here, the point is that I'm glad that McBreen remembered this, because this is the truth. Trump is not in a secret society. He was so real, him and his dad played possum for decades.
This is such a bullshit, BS, made-up narrative.
I lost my audio.
So you did? Let's see if we can get it back. Cool. Sorry, hold on. Not cool. See, I told you. I warned you that happens. How about now?
While they were planning all this and waiting for the right time, and guess what had happened? Again, his dad, I've confirmed from the highest levels, massive amounts of money to the John Birch Society in the 50s and 60s.
He also donated heavily to Jewish causes and helped build one of the first synagogues and was friends with Netanyahu in the 80s. And not to mention Roy Cohn is the one that, like, you know, was Trump's mentor.
Right. So there you go. It's the same mafia, but with different window dressing within this country. That's how all these guys are connected through criminal activities.
I don't know what it is, but every time I pause Jones, it's like he's got some face that just looks evil or something. The other video, it was happening too. Yeah. Every time we were laughing about it.
Same thing with people like Donald Trump. And I've talked to the old guys that have been in the meetings just 2 days ago with Trump, 25 years ago, saying,
he always says his family were John Birchers and they had John Birchers at the table, and you think and I agree, or it's very possible he was groomed by the Birchers, which have been subverted and controlled opposition all along, right? You've done research into them, haven't you?
Absolutely. Let me mention something about the John Birch Society real quick. I look at it in two different ways. First off, it's a paradigm. So it's the pattern of thinking that Jones makes you live within. It steers you away. It's kosher. It steers you away from international Jewry. It steers you away from Zionism. It focuses on real conspiracies like fluoride in the water. That's horrible for you, Edward Bernays. But they'll steer you away from who the globalists really are. And that's what Jones does. He makes you live within that pattern of thinking of the classic John Birch Society, which has been around since the 50s. But it's also a conduit. I look at it as a conduit as well, where is the John Birch Society still around today? Yeah. Is it the club that all these guys are in? I don't know. They don't really call it a society anymore. It's a club that they're in, but it's a way for them to run operations, military operations, via this club, because membership of the John Birch Society used to consist of your radio talk show hosts, your televangelist or your preachers, entertainers, actors, and then your military guys. And after that video, people like Kanye West came out, or intellectuals as well. Kanye West came out, Kim Kardashian, Amber Rose, and then Elon Musk. All these people. It's a way to run operations with a front behind the scenes. So it's not only the pattern of thinking that Jones makes you live within, or makes your subconscious form off of, but it's also a conduit for them to run operations like the whole Trump stuff that's going on right now. It's a way for them to push these larger operations.
Yeah, I've heard it explained that Jones can say anything but the truth, and that if he confuses his audience, the better. If he contradicts himself, great. As long as he's saying anything but the truth, and what he does is he'll say it's anybody but the blanks. And what you said about how he deflects from going down that JQ rabbit hole, and he focuses on other conspiracies like fluoride or vaccines or depopulation, that kind of thing. I heard that. I read an article by Henry Macau. I think that's his name, Henry Macau. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong, but. And he said the same exact thing, that he deflects towards fluoride and stuff. And then I watched the David Duke debate, and he did the exact thing. David Duke was trying to get into that, and he said, well, I just want to care about the fluoride and the vaccines and the abortions. And David Duke's like, I talk about that stuff too, but what about the rest of this stuff? But that's Jones' whole argument.
Yeah, and yeah, it's that classic way of thinking. And then early on, people left like Revlo P. Oliver and William Luther Pierce. They were Birchers, and then they broke off and started their own things. But yeah, that's always what it was there for. It was, personally, I believe it's a military intelligence front right from the bat to steer you away from who's really calling the shots behind the scenes. So yeah.
And I wish somebody'd run to stop this. I'd get behind him. He didn't even want to. When he says that, he doesn't need to do that to feel powerful. He was looking for somebody to back. They never showed up. Just like he says in speeches, they never came along.
I don't buy this either. I think I've seen predictive programming with Trump all over the place, and I think that he has been planned to do this for decades. Or at least he's been in the bullpen as a possible, racehorse that these guys can run. Look at who it was. The Roger Stone documentary says that Roger Stone, probably connected with or working with Roy Cohn, had this plan for Trump way back then, and now it's all coming to fruition. Alex Jones's whole purpose all along because these elites plan 30 years. People don't like when I say elites. These Zio criminals and these puppet masters, on the chessboard, the grand chessboard, they plan so far in advance that Jones so likely could have been compromised from the very beginning, and now he's finally switched and everybody's seeing the truth. He's revealing himself, and it's because he's done his job. It's too late. Trump's in. They got the embassy, and I bet you by the end of the year, I could be wrong, but I have a strong feeling something's going to happen with the temple being built or begin to be built by the end of this year.
Yeah, but I'm gonna disagree with you, and I think Jones, as far as Jones being done, I don't even think he's peaked yet. I think some other stuff is gonna happen where that really launches him, and he's really gonna peak. Personally, what I think is going to end up happening is the left and the right are going to get so ridiculous in their ways and completely separated, in these different paradigms, paleo versus vegan, left versus right, all these little groups where it gets so ridiculous and everybody's fighting with each other. And then eventually everybody's going to get unified with some advanced technology.
People that were in the meetings, 20.
Sorry. Or, everybody's going to get unified with some peacemaker like Jared Kushner, who's going to bring peace to the Middle East, and he's going to bring... he's going to be into office. Him and Ivanka. I could totally see it happening. Okay, let's before we finish the Alex Jones stuff, let's read a few of these super chats again. We got some more. Thank you everybody for the super chats. I appreciate it so much, and also my Patreon supporters. You mean the world to me. I know you notice I've been putting out a lot more content. Keep supporting me, and I'll keep up working hard to try to live up to everybody's expectations and not let anybody down. So we got The Vicious, $10. Thank you. Any possibility of breaking down Steven Crowder's blind support of Israel sometime? I've seen it myself. I can't watch Crowder anymore because I know how bad it is. Johnny Gatt has a great video, I believe, or a few videos exposing Crowder. So he's already done the work. Go check that out there. What do you know about Crowder? You seen any of his Zionist gatekeeping and shilling?
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's exactly like you said. People like Johnny Gatt have broke it down, but it's pretty obvious to me. I like to focus on things that are a little more sophisticated than that. That he's pretty open about being, pro-Zionist and everything. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think the Public Square has a video about him recently too. I watched a bit of. So go check out all the competition. Gregory W. Trump SS, $5. Thank you. Is that your real name, Trump? I think it might be because I saw a comment saying somebody like, I'm embarrassed, my name is Trump. He says, we have no, maybe not. He loves Trump. We have no choice but to be allied with right-wing Jews to stop anti-white, open borders, left-wing Jews. What do you think of that?
That's the game plan. That's the whole point. It's like the higher up you get, the bosses, eventually they're friends. And eventually there's some they're calling these shots. They want you fighting with each other. They want the Christians fighting with the Muslims. No, you don't. Your right-wing Jews are not your only chance. That's all part of the game plan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look at Tommy Robinson. You know, he's being propped up as a martyr, which is going to make him a hero, and he's going to be the controlled opposition that fights against all this Muslim immigration, but they're focusing on the symptom instead of the cause. Who is behind the politics and the policies that are allowing all this immigration to happen? Who are the foundations and the NGOs that are helping all these people come to these European countries? Who people like Barbara Specter are saying that Europe can't be a mono culture. They need multiculturalism. Like, who is to say that has to be that way? Also, one more thing, Richard Spencer, you know, he's all hyping up Israel. We should be more like Israel. They're an ethno state, and you know they're tribal and stuff. So these are the leaders, like you say, that we should be teaming up with to stop. Another one is Gavin McInnes, the Canadian Zio-shill from Rebel Media, openly a Zionist Jew-owned company. No secret about it. He tweeted recently that, or not recently, but I saw it with the Twitter search, that the Proud Boys, his group, the Proud Boys, team up and stand side by side with the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, which is literally like a terrorist organization that beats people up. And that's what the Proud Boys do too. The recent guy that knocked out the Antifa guy in the street, that was a Gavin McInnes Proud Boy. And they're all Zionist shills. They'll focus on the symptoms, but Tommy Robinson goes, "Oh, I support Israel," and he wears the Mossad shirt. Everybody's seen the Tommy Robinson exposed stuff. And his purpose is to keep the magnifying glass and the blame away from Jews, who say, a lot of rabbis say this is biblical prophecy, that this is happening with the mass immigration and the white cultures being erased.
Yeah, a couple of things. Alex Jones has come out saying that he funds Tommy Robinson. I called that behind the scenes, not on my YouTube videos, but he came out saying he funds him. Jones came out and says how heavily associated he is with the whole Brexit, all the Brexit people, that whole movement.
Nigel Farage, that's who's in CNP, Council on National Policy. Nigel Farage, that's how he fits into. Yeah,
I didn't know that, but yeah, he's right in that group. That's perfect. I mean, it's like Cambridge Analytica. Everybody was supporting Cruz, and then someone made the call to go to Trump, and then boom, they dumped all their assets into Trump. Everything, the information warfare operations, the propaganda,
the Adelson backing.
Yeah, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe Trump wasn't their first choice then.
Well, I think, like you said, he was in the bullpen for sure, but I think they could have done this with anybody. But Trump's a perfect personality for this type of revolution. I think he was their best option.
Well, people are saying, I mean, people that are devoutly religious in Israel and in America think he is the man. That third temple prophecy video I put up, the Jewish third temple prophecy, it's clear as can day. I can't overstate how much they think Trump is the Cyrus and he's the John the Baptist and he's going to usher in the temple and the Messiah. Like, they are so sure of it. They believe it with 100% all their heart. Okay, play a little bit more of this. How are we doing on time, by the way? I can't find it. You're doing good still? I know you're a few hours ahead.
I'm fine.
And everybody, we're talking with Matthew North. Everybody, please go subscribe to his channel. Absolutely. Doesn't mean I endorse everything there. Always, of course. You know, nobody agrees with everything on everything. Follow him on Twitter. Go to his YouTube, Matthew North. Link will be in the descriptions. And we'll play some more of this. Alex Jones is a government agent stuff.
25 years ago, when Trump was saying, "Who do we get to do this?"
Go ahead and say I'm the traitor when I exposed the whole New World Order and popularized it all when it was a tiny little John Birch Society and Patriot movement in the CIA group. You go ahead.
There you go. He took the John Birch narrative and ran with it. That's an admittance right there.
Yep.
These are great clips, man. This is quite the compilation. I watched this the other night and was like jaw dropped because, you know, this is the kind of stuff that I am into. My whole time of liking InfoWars, when I still was kind of buying it, my main thing that was always on my mind is he really controlled or not? Like, I loved watching all the conspiracy videos about him, and they always had a good point, but some of them, I wonder if he has any of his editors and people that works for him make fake exposing Alex Jones videos, because some of them are just awful.
Yeah, didn't you always have a probably? I would be really surprised if he doesn't have some alternative operations, going against him. But didn't you always have that gut feeling about him that it's just something about that whole situation was almost too polished? Like I always had a feeling that something wasn't, it just wasn't authentic. There was something going behind the scenes. There's some sort of manipulation going on there.
He
I
didn't
always
have
felt
the
that.
integrity. I didn't feel like I could really
Yeah.
trust him, like he was really a good person.
Yeah,
with
go
my
look at
gut,
him with
you know.
with Charlie Sheen and all those
Milo,
guys.
now he's hanging out. I mean,
Yeah.
look at all the company he's keeping now. All the people that he used to have on that are critical of Trump and would be critical of Trump, boom, they're gone. Completely partisan hack, completely one-sided, 24-hour wall-to-wall Trump propaganda. It's just sickening, sycophant, cheerleading, lapdog behavior. It just makes me so sick that, I mean, I'm spending a lot of my spare time exposing all this stuff.
But it's important. It really is.
It
Because
is.
his audience is so massive. I mean, that's where the majority of the people are at. So
Yeah. I believe we have another super chat. So, oh yeah, the Illuminati card game, the 1995 Illuminati card game shows a guy just like Alex Jones.
yeah, that's him.
You do believe?
Oh, for 100% that's him. That's actually that guy's out of Austin, Texas. Look at it. That's not. I actually have one of those cards. I have that exact card. The Alex Jones one, Agent in Place. That's definitely him. Go to that one's stretched out a little bit. Just click on the look at that. That's him. Mine is his ears. His ears look exactly like Bill Hicks' ears to me. That's a whole nother subject.
I covered
really
that
wish
with a guest last week, and I was surprised when I heard that you believed it as well. And I was always under the impression that the Alex Jones, Bill Hicks stuff was a distraction, and that was maybe the COINTELPRO injecting the disinfo and the fake conspiracies to muddy the waters so people don't realize. Because, one of Jones's ways that he deflects that he's a Zionist gatekeeper is he goes, oh, people say I'm a Mason, they say I'm a Zionist, they say I'm a Vatican, I work for the Catholics, all those different things. But everything I've seen online and all the evidence, the legitimate evidence is Zionism or Jewish power if people don't like the Zionism term.
Yeah. But I would urge people to look in that a little bit. There's so much evidence there. I mean, there's too much evidence to ignore. I don't like the way that your other guest covered it, but
I'll agree. There are a lot of things that I can see why people say that Bill Hicks, like there is a similar looks. The death and the emergence of Alex Jones are similar time, but I think that there's just I honestly believe they're coincidences. Watching Bill Hicks and his comedy, I can never see him morphing his personality into being Alex Jones. And there's the photos of Alex Jones working out and as a child, and I guess people say that those are photoshopped. I'd rather just not go there because that could make people go, oh, you think that, and then dismiss all the other stuff. So unless it's
right.
Go ahead.
Wait, let me just say, and I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll drop it after this. Let me just tell people, look at his handwriting. He has the same exact handwriting. His teeth are the exact same. They're slightly shaved. Even his back ones go in. 4 of the same moles, same lip. It goes on. Go read my pinned comment under my Bill Hicks video, and then double check all those things yourself. You will be surprised. I'm not someone who hasn't watched any Bill Hicks. I've watched a pathetic amount of Bill. I've watched everything available on Bill Hicks. I'm a huge fan of his comedy. And they're the same person in my opinion. The connections, Dr. Frank Gannon. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. It seems ridiculous. It seems really ridiculous. I know, but if you just dig into that a little bit.
Let us know in the comments, guys. I'm already watching the live chat now a little bit. It looks like everybody's almost disagreeing with you.
Oh, I know.
To be honest. Forgotten Nationalist says, I'm a woman, I can see it. So that means they are the same or they're not the same, Forgotten Nationalist. The teeth photos are all Photoshops.
No, they're not. You can pull them yourself. Go pull, still frames from videos of both of them. Even his back teeth are the same. They curve in the same way. So, all right, we can move on. We'll just move on.
Maybe they're cousins. Maybe they're cousins. Okay, I'll have to look for the Forgotten Truth explanation.
One more thing. Look, if someone can find me death records for 32-year-old William Melvin Hicks, Little Rock, Arkansas, I'd love to see them.
Okay, there's the challenge. Link it below if you got it, guys. Have you investigated that yourself? Tried to find it? There's no death record for Bill Hicks.
Could never find one. Nope. Not for a 32-year-old William Melvin Hicks. No.
Everybody says that Bill Hicks is a quite a bit taller than Alex Jones. I've heard Alex Jones is really short. Did he get his some bone from his legs removed?
They're marked as the same height, but if you compare him to, let's say, Kevin Booth or David Pruitt, who they had interviews with, they're the exact same height. They match up the exact same way. So. Man,
you got a rebuttal for all these. Listen to all these objections. Okay, anyway, if you want to see more Alex Jones's Bill Hicks stuff, go check out Matthew North's channel. He's got some videos there on it. And, one of my best friends messaged me, and he believes it too. But whether it's true or not, it's really irrelevant to Alex Jones and what he does as a Zionist gatekeeper. So it's kind of a side issue. It's just kind of interesting to look at. Okay, so Super Chats, he says, I must build the temple or we won't have the wall. Okay, that's nonsense from Gregory Trump again. Thanks for the Super Chats, Greg, but I don't know about that one. And the Illuminati card game, it's all predictive, was from Rico Coin. Good point. So, okay, a little bit more of this one, and then we'll finish off with Kalergi. We got like 15 minutes more. 462 people watching. Thanks for watching, guys. Help press the like button and share it. Get around the ADL algorithms.
And you say that
Don't think Trump just did this on his own. He was recruited by patriots and U.S. intelligence agencies, for a fact. Trump was recruited by the U.S. Army. That's a big secret, but you deserve to know what the Democrats already know. You deserve to understand what's really going on. We were being held underwater. We, the patriots, the constitutionalists, we're the good guys. We're trying to save the republic. And anybody that stands against that is a treasonous, traitorous, larcenous enemy of humanity. Period.
Either you're with us or you're with the enemy. There's no in between. You're either with us or you're with the enemy. That's
recently retired or high-level CIA people, current, former, or people in Hollywood or whatever. I used to think it was like a patronizing. Like, what do we do?
Okay, so the rest is just Jones admitting that he's got these military connections, and I've seen other ones. It's probably in here. Everybody check this out and share this everywhere, please. Trump is the result of military intelligence in John Birch Society. I'll put this one in the link, and also your Kalergi documentary. We're going to get around these guys trying to censor this information, but we don't need to play the rest of that one.
No.
Right now. People can... actually, I did want to see this clip.
Paranoid, like, oh, this is a manipulation. You're not going to stroke my ego. I'm a very humble person. And then I realized in my conversations with the president and others, when the president just says, we're going to make it, our spirit's strong, we got to believe in God, we're going to make it to the other side, be strong, I'm going to be strong, it's going to be...
I don't really believe in the Hollywood movies. I am those. You understand that? So, not worried about Jack. In fact, I just can't wait if you go ahead and turn it up. I'm tired of sitting around with you people running your mouths all day. When you sold out to the Chi-Coms in North Korea. How dare you, filth? Hey.
Always the Chinese.
Yeah. And what he mentioned there, like, I thought it was patronizing, like they were stroking my ego. I think Jones is extremely easy to stroke his ego. I think that's what's going on behind the scenes. A lot of the times they just like, oh, Jones, you think like a supercomputer. You can analyze your subconscious and like stuff like that. And he just eats it up and loves it and just goes along with whatever they tell him. He might actually believe that Hollywood's run by the communist Chinese because his sources are telling him that, his advisors, which are his handlers. Like I said, I think there's quite a bit of mind control going on with him that people overlook.
Yeah, sometimes I people will debate with me, like, is he really just a Christian Zionist and he believes it because that's like the way he was raised and he really believes that he's doing the right thing and he's on the side of God, or does he know that he's sold out and he knows he's a psyop and he knows he's a traitor and a Judas goat infiltrator that's selling us all out? And we don't really know. And somebody else commented recently a good point that I should say more often is that we judge Jones so hard, but who is to say that if we were in his position, like, who knows if you got Chabad Lubavitch mafia gangsters showing up at your door and following you around and calling your phone and threatening your life and saying, hey, you want to be rich and successful? Come along with us. If not, you and your whole family are going to be dead. Like, I think, they obviously have means and methods of getting people to sell out, because it seems like almost everybody is sold out.
Yeah, I don't know about everybody, but yeah, they definitely. And then, like you said, you gotta take in consideration that stuff too. There's definitely a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, so yeah, I see you're seeing what I'm going. Whenever I'm on the screen, though, I got you up here. But people are asking in the chat, they want to see this Ariana Grande stuff, which I'm sure you're probably interested in it too. It's this brand new video. Somebody gave me this tip. Oh, video. There we go. So remember, I already did a video called Alex Jones and Game of Thrones Predict Zionist False Flag. And in it, I show a clip from Game of Thrones, spoiler alert, where they blow up the Sept, which is the religious building. It's a dome in Game of Thrones, and they blow it up with bombs underneath. And there's also an old Israeli movie called, I can't remember the name of it now, Time of something, Time of okay, not important. I've talked about it before, but the whole plot is about a crazy religious zealot that wants to blow up the dome. There's also a TV show called Dig that's all about a cult that wants to like rebuild the temple or destroy the dome there. I haven't watched it, but I've been told about it. And interesting enough, the creator of that TV show Dig, his name is Fring. He's the guy that created Heroes. And in the show Heroes, where these guys are like mutant superpowers, season 1, the whole theme was a black sun, which I believe has deep occultic meaning. Like every time the black sun would show up, it would be like they would get powers. And then in season 2, the whole plot was the plot of 9/11. There was a terrorist attack. They blamed it on a terrorist who wasn't really the terrorist. There was truthers. They called them truthers in the show, and they turned out to be right. So this Fring guy, this Hollywood occultic guy, which, by the way, Kushner has the guy that made Purge and some of the horror movies. He has him working in the White House now. People say all day that Clinton and George Soros are satanic, and Alex Jones talks about Soros all the time, but Kushner's the most satanic, and Kushner's got all these business deals with George Soros.
So does Steve Mnuchin, and I think there's a couple other people. There's like two or at least two, but I think there's more that have worked with him their entire life. So
didn't Trump say like leave Soros alone at one time at one rally too? Like Soros is the only billionaire that Jones will talk about. You never hear about Adelson owning Trump being an Israel firster, but you'll hear Soros come out of Alex Jones' mouth 20 times a show.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get to this. So I did the setup of the predictive programming, which such an interesting topic. People probably that don't believe in conspiracies probably just dismiss us and think we're insane, but the Arnon Milchan stuff before 9/11 and the Simpsons thing and Trump in the Simpsons, it's you can't just dismiss this stuff. Maybe it's not true, maybe it's coincidence, but you cannot just dismiss it all. Okay. So, thanks again for watching, everybody. 458 watching. So this video, God is a Woman, it's at 2:22. You still can hear, right?
No, but that's cool. I can see the lyrics.
I can get it back up to you. Hold on a minute, everybody. Oh, maybe not. Okay. You're not going to be able to hear it, but it's okay. You can see the lyrics, and you're going to see the imagery anyway. So remember. Oh, and one more predictive programming in that video is that there was a cartoon that this unknown guy made, and it showed planes, fighter jets going and blowing up a Muslim dome with the Star and Crescent, blowing it up, and it's on the Temple Mount. It's 100% the Dome of the Rock. And then Alex Jones interviews the guy that makes it, doesn't talk about that aspect. It also has imagery of a Star of David around the Statue of Liberty. And also, one more thing, Trey Smith, the big-time Zionist Bible guy on YouTube, super influential, has a huge following. He has videos about going to Jerusalem, rebuilding the temple, Trump is all prophecy. He goes on InfoWars, goes in studio with Roger Stone. He's even weaved Roger Stone into this prophecy stuff, saying that some prophet said that Trump's going to be president and he's going to help him rebuild the temple, and he's going to stand on a stone, and they're saying stone got Trump in. It's insane. But the Trey Smith, Jones is connected to, and Jones predicted that the dome is going to be blown up by Arabs, as if it's the Arabs that want to do it, when it's clearly the Christians and the Jews. But sorry I'm rambling so much tonight, man, but been fired up to get to this stuff. So 2:22 is where it starts. Here we go.
Yeah, and he see the universe when I'm the company. Strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy.
So did you hear that? Drop down on you with anger and fury.
Those who attempt to poison and destroy my sisters. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you.
You will know I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. And then she destroys the dome. It looks like a Roman dome, but still a dome.
From
there
the
it is.
inside, too. That's interesting.
And Ariana Grande has already been well known into the Illuminati symbolism stuff, as a little pop star.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people in the chat have it. Let us know what you think, guys. And is this just another coincidence, or is this more predictive programming? It's weird waking up to 9/11 like you did, and then seeing all the predictive programming, and then knowing what happened in the past kind of allows you to see what's going on in the present and almost be able to predict the future if you can see this code that they have going on, this Kabbalistic, Freemasonic, occultic, black magic stuff they got going on.
Yeah, it's almost like they have to tell you, like it's a karmic thing. Like they have to put it out there right in front of your face, and it just goes over most people's head.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, look at how many people are seeing this
Exactly.
kind of imagery. Number 44 trending on YouTube, 30 million views just a few days ago. We got some super chats coming in. I bet you people are wanting to ask, give their comments on this. When I see this kind of stuff, my mind gets blown. The Moshiach thing really blew my mind. And I said already, it gave my girlfriend the chills when she heard it too, because she knows about this kind of stuff, the neurolinguistic programming. It is real, man, 100% real. And it's creepy stuff. So we got High Impact Vlog says, been watching your content since I stumbled upon your channel a couple months ago. Adam, good job revealing the truth about Israel. Thank you, High Impact Vlogs. And guys, I just got to say that I'm almost like ashamed that I'm so much older and it took me so much longer to come to this information. But Matthew North, his YouTube channel, has been covering all this stuff months and months before me. I'm just going to be honest and give some credit where credit's due. What's it like being so young and being awake to all this stuff, Matt? Is it? Do you have other friends your age, your friends from high school, that you can talk about with this kind of thing?
No. Nobody wants to hear it. It's really annoying. But it's empowering, like I said, and it makes you stray away from the unnecessary things in life, and then focus on the important things. And like I said, it's ultimately empowering. I enjoy researching a lot of this stuff, and I hate the society we live in, and I really want to do something about it.
Look at all these titles, guys. These are some great topics here. I've still got a lot more to watch. I can't wait to get you back on. I wouldn't mind doing this kind of stuff frequently. You're the type of guy that we could be getting together to come up talk about all the new research you want to get out. And everybody go follow them too. You got to follow all these people that are actually telling the truth and genuine and sincere.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and some of the stuff I'm working on now, I think a lot of you guys would be very interested in it. It's stuff I haven't seen anybody else talk about. So
Awesome.
Hopefully we can do another show on that.
I look forward to it. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm getting a little restless and uncomfortable in my seat. It's getting late over in Central Time Zone where you're at. Any last question, guys, or any last comments or thoughts you want to get out? Anything else you want to say to the people, Matt?
Yeah, let me just say one comment, and him bringing up Ariana Grande reminded me of this. Let's, as a community, let's actually do something about the pedophiles, because Jones says we're going after the pedophiles, and then he'll point to Harvey Weinstein. There's this guy named Dan Schneider who brought Ariana Grande up, and he wrote all these kids TV shows, and the guy's an open pedophile. He had no problem writing sexual innuendos. I'm sure plenty of you are aware of him. Let's do something about it. Let's actually try to take some of these guys down. Someone like Dan Schneider, who has no problem, like I said, writing sexual innuendos into little kids TV shows, and then psychologically and physically raping little girls and having no remorse about it. So
that's the guy that just recently was in the news and got arrested, right?
Oh, did he? I didn't.
I know somebody recently was involved with some kind of kids, and he got arrested for something like that. I covered it last week. Can't remember the guy's name. It was him.
Yeah. But Dan Schneider, I think that's a real piece of shit that needs to be brought down. So that's my final comment.
Okay, I don't know who that is. What's his name? Dan Schneider.
He made a lot of kids TV shows.
How do you spell
SCH.
Snyder? SCH. Okay,
yeah.
Dan Schneider. Okay, oh, the Nickelodeon. Okay, I think people will remember that. Oh yeah, this guy. I remember that face. Oh, that looks like a great guy to be around children. Schneider. What do you know? What ethnicity that is?
I do not. I just know that the guy's a real piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Worked for Nickelodeon. They always get the jobs around the children.
And made a lot of kids TV shows, is programming your kids
Mm-hmm.
or your niece or your cousin or whatever, so.
You wonder how all those sexual subconscious messages, or what subliminal messages are in all the Disney movies. It's guys like this putting it in there.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks for ending on the pedophiles talks.
I just want to see something done about it,
Yeah.
Jones sits up there in his high horse saying they're taking the pedophiles down every day. I haven't seen anything, and we have the ability to force that information out there, and people can't ignore that stuff because they're so open about it. So, but thanks for having me on, Adam. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can do this again.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that I came across your stuff. I'm so impressed with your work. You really give me optimism for the future. I really tip my hat to you. You have knowledge and experience and confidence. Just blows me away for your age. People should really need to follow you and look at all your work, and I think they're all going to be blown away too. From what I've been catching in the comments, people are enjoying the talk. So thanks a lot for being here, and have a nice night. Thanks for coming on.
See ya.
Yeah, I'll call you after. I'm going to close it out.
All right.
Okay, bye. Okay, everybody. That's the end of the show. That was Matthew North. Everybody go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Check out this information. Share this information. Learn it. Share it with your friends. Get around the censorship and the gatekeeping of the ADL. Also, follow him on Twitter, Matthew North. You saw his handle up there the whole time. Matthew North 369. Help him. Oh, yeah, he did share this. This is the Trump Way to the Top. Or he just retweeted it. This is Osiris shared this, I guess. So Trump Way to the Top. His book, The Best Business Advice I Ever Received. And what is the business advice? He says, one day when my Kabbalah teacher, Etan Yardini, asked how I was doing, I told him I needed a break. I was thoroughly exhausted, overwhelmed, and overworked. So Trump is right there with him with the Kabbalah stuff. So that should do it. Another informative, information-packed episode. No more news. That's what we all need to do. No more news with Adam Green. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Patreon. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Everybody have a nice night.